Pull down your armrest and fasten your seatbelt. We're taking a trip back in time as American Motor Classics presents Fabulous Fords of the 50s.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love drive a man insane. You broke my will, but wanna feel. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. I let your love on, I thought it was funny. You came along and moved me, honey. I changed my mind, this love is fine. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. I wanna drive you, baby. Ooh, feels good. Wanna hold you, baby. Yeah, I want to love you like a lover should. You're fine, so kind. Want to tell this world that you're mine. It's the little twiddle my thumb. Real love, but it sure is fun. Come on, baby, drive me crazy. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Sure, you're fine, so kind. Want to tell this world that you're mine. I never twiddle my thumb. I'm real nervous, but it sure is fun. Come on, baby, drive me crazy. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Henry Ford's influence on the American automotive industry is legendary. He built his own car in 1893. And worked as a consultant and designer for several other companies after that. In 1903, he formed the Ford Motor Company and introduced his first commercial vehicle, the Model A Ford. Over the next 5 years, Henry would try out enough new car designs to make alphabet soup until he hit upon the Model T in 1908. This was a car that would change the American way of life. Practical, durable, it would also become affordable. Henry's attempts to streamline production paid off in his ability to provide quality automobiles for less. America loved the Model T. The Tin Lizzie took them everywhere for 20 years. And when the old flivver was replaced in 1928 with the new Model A Ford, people sang that Henry made a lady out of Lizzie. Ford continued to do what it did best right on through the 30s and 40s, providing reliable, comfortable, and conservatively stylish transportation for the average American. Car manufacturing came to a halt during World War II. We were too busy making tanks and planes to make cars, too. It wasn't until the very late 40s that America saw newly designed cars on its streets. The effect of this prolonged period without new cars resulted in a decade during the 50s when automotive styling would try out some of the most radical designs ever. Let's take a look at what happened at Ford during this period, from 1950 to 1959. When people were proud to say,
"It's a Ford!"
Get the feel of the wheel of a Ford. Settle back, take a man, hold tomorrow in your hand. Get the feel of the wheel of a Ford. Feel the pride as you drive, and your envy and your eye. It's the feel of the wheel of a Ford. Dream of a dream car just for you. Ford makes your dream car dreams come true. So to know how it feels to have wings on your wheels, get the feel of the wheel the feel of a wheel of a Fairlane, you'll know what it means to fly.
Get the feel of a wheel of a Lincoln, you'll really be riding high.
Ford wagons and new Edsels, they'll take you anywhere.
Ford Customs and 500s have luxury to spare.
For galaxies and Mercuries, you're up among the stars. Ride the mighty Thunderbird, the royalty of cars. So to know how it feels to have wings on your wheel, get the feel of the wheel of a great automobile. Get the feel of the wheel of a Ford.
Over 1 million 1949 Fords were built, the most for any model year since 1930. Longer and lower with coil spring independent front suspension, they were a dramatic change from the earlier styles and were popular with the buying public from the beginning. In 1950, Ford introduced the V8 Crestliner. Offered at $1,711, this special edition two-door was distinguished by vivid two-tone color panels on its sides with matching two-tone interiors and a padded vinyl top. By 1951, it had been produced in 6 color combinations, but only 26,304 Crestliners were sold before the series was canceled in 1952. These wildly colored cars are rare and desirable collectibles today. The rest of the 1950 Ford line was divided between deluxes and customs. Advertised as 50 ways new, 50 ways finer. They had lowered parking lamps, a new Ford crest bearing the family coat of arms, and the wishbone door handles were replaced with the push-button variety. Most were available with your choice of the 6-cylinder or flathead V8 engine. The larger V8 engine displaced 239.4 cubic inches and was popular with the hot rodders. It also gave Ford a performance edge over Chevrolet and Plymouth. The 1951 Fords were slightly restyled, with the most notable changes being the dual spinner grille, a new winged hood ornament, slightly recessed headlamps, and side trim that wrapped all the way around the trunk, and chromed wind splits on the sides that accented the new twin-pointed tail lamps. For the first time, the turn of a key started the engine, eliminating the starter button. And 2-speed Ford-O-Matic automatic transmissions were also offered for the first time. The Ford line was restyled for 1952 under the direction of styling chief George Walker, establishing the designs that would form the basis for Fords until 1955. The cars were lower and wider on a longer 115-inch wheelbase. They introduced the one-piece curved windshield and center-fill fueling hidden behind the rear license plate holder. The front grille reverted to a center bullet, but with slotted vents on either side, flanked by spinners that housed the parking and turning lamps. Mainline was the standard line, and Custom line was the deluxe model. Crestline became the top-of-the-line series, made up of the Victoria hardtop, the Sunliner convertible, and the posh new Country Squire station wagon. This was the first all-steel Ford wagon with wood decal trim. 1953 was Ford's golden anniversary year. Despite this being their 50th anniversary, few significant changes were made in the line, except an increase in prices. The grille had been changed, and the flathead V8 was now capable of 110 horsepower at 3,800 RPM. In these early years of the 50s, Ford cars were interesting to the buying public and sold well, resulting in the manufacture of 1.2 million cars in 1953. This succeeded in moving Ford ahead of Chrysler into the number 2 sales spot behind Chevrolet. This increase in sales was partially accomplished by a sales blitz where, during its peak, a Ford could be bought at less than cost. Chevrolet was not damaged much by Ford's competitive push, but many of the independent makes were. The Ford Blitz is credited as one of the most important factors in the mid-50s decline of many of the independents, such as Studebaker, Nash, Hudson, and Kaiser Willys, who were unable to discount their cars as much. The 1954 Ford line was basically the same as 1953, with one important addition: the Crestline Skyliner Victoria hardtop. It had a front roof section made of transparent plastic, And the old flathead V8 at long last gave way to a new overhead valve Y-block V8 engine with 130 horsepower. It was the hottest engine in the low-priced field. The 1955 Fords were new designs styled under the direction of Franklin Hershey. Bearing some resemblance to the 52-54 models, they were clean and highly chromed with a rakish look of motion.
Notice how the line of the car flows from front to rear in an almost imperceptible curve, and how the front fenders, the reach of the visored headlights, and the drawn-out taillights extend this smooth, unbroken line. The lowered hood and the sweep of the all-round windshield blend into this line perfectly, adding to the lively feeling of motion in the overall appearance of this car.
The same basic lineup was retained: mainline, custom line, station wagon, but a new line was added: Fairlane. Fairlane was available as a 2- and 4-door sedan, a 2- and 4-door hardtop, as well as the Fairlane Sunliner convertible. Another interesting addition was the Crown Victoria, developed from the Skyliner but destined to only survive 2 years. Some featured the innovative plastic transparent top, divided from the rest of the roof by the Victoria's broad stainless steel band. They were attractive but a little pricey, and not terribly practical on hot sunny days. More than 13,000 of the bubble tops sold in 1954, compared to less than 2,000 in 55 and only 603 in 56.
Remember the shots of the Ford Thunderbird winning the acceleration from a standing start competition? It zoomed ahead of every other American production stock sports car. And you'll zoom ahead and stay ahead in your Ford, powered by the mighty Thunderbird V8 engine that's available in all Fords.
In 1956, Ford kept the same basic line of cars as in 1955.
You know, it's the widest, longest, lowest convertible in its field, and the most popular. Fact is, since 1949, the Ford Sunliner has outsold every other convertible, regardless of price. With this one exception.
But made the error of trying to market safety instead of cars. In today's post-Ralph Nader safety-conscious world, this might not seem so foolish, but with Chevrolet selling speed and power, it would serve as a setback for Ford.
That's why Ford V8s are the choice of police fleets from coast to coast. Why they're the most popular cars among those that demand extra performance and protection. In North Carolina, for example, all of the Ford patrol cars are equipped with all of Ford's lifeguard design features. Features you can have and should have in the car you drive. Ford's lifeguard steering wheel with a deep center construction to cushion impact and help prevent contact with the recessed steering column. Optional lifeguard padding on instrument panel and sun visors.
Padded dash and sun visors cost $16 extra, and factory-installed seat belts cost $9. In 1957, Ford introduced a newly restyled and reorganized lineup, available with either a 6-cylinder engine or many choices of V8 engines and newly extended wheelbases of 116 and 118 inches. The lineup included Customs, Custom 300s, Fairlanes, Fairlane 500s, a Sunliner convertible, and 10 styles of station wagons, including 2-door ranch wagons, 4-door country sedans, the deluxe Country Squire, and the Del Rio.
See? You're never late in a Ford V8. It's easy to see, isn't it, why the most popular station wagon in America is the new kind of Ford for 57.
The new styling featured a rectangular full-width grille and tail fins over the king-size jet tube taillights that were sure to set a new industry trend. But perhaps the most innovative of all the new Fords was the new Fairlane 500 retractable.
Here is the car of the future, the car that other manufacturers are still only dreaming about, the car that brings great prestige to Ford and Ford dealers for being first to offer the hardtop design that within 10 years will be almost standard in the industry. Longer, 3 inches longer than the Fairlane 500 Sunliner. Heavier, weighing almost 250 pounds more than its cloth-top counterpart, The Fairlane 500 Hideaway Hardtop is the most beautiful car on the road today. Just about 50 seconds, less than a minute to change from a hardtop to an open-air car. The world's first and only true hardtop convertible. That's the Fairlane 500 Hideaway Hardtop. How is this miracle of automotive engineering accomplished? How in the world does it work?
7 small electric motors, permanently sealed and lubricated for their lifetime, provide the power to operate the fully automatic top. A system of limit switches operates the motors in sequence for safe, dependable operation.
It's the car of the future. And once again, the industry will have to follow the leader, Ford.
Ford sold over 20,000 retractables in 1957, but sales slacked off with fewer than 15,000 in 1958 and less than 13,000 in 59. It had virtually no trunk space when the top was lowered, was complicated mechanically, and cost $350 more than the convertible. Subtle changes marked the introduction of the 1958 Fords. A new bumper and grille combination combined with dual headlamps marked the major distinction from the 1957 models.
This Paris mannequin is wearing a suit by Jacques Imes. The Ford's wearing a new idea, too. A new honeycomb grille.
Only V8s were available, the most powerful versions extracting 300 horsepower from 5.8 liters.
Introducing the greatest V8 engine advance in 25 years. The 1958 Ford's new Interceptor V8 with precision fuel induction. This is the mighty powerhouse that conquered the world and is now winning nationwide fame here on the American road.
And despite a recession in 1958, Ford still sold nearly 1 million cars, possibly due to its advertising campaign that emphasized much of the line as the lowest priced.
Ford sells America's lowest priced full-size station wagon. Ford sells America's lowest priced convertible. And Ford sells America's lowest priced full-size sedan.
There's nothing newer in the world than the 58 Ford.
In 1959, Ford opted to merely update what had been successful in 1958. Despite the outrageous designs of other manufacturers, Ford merely changed the grille and some of the moldings. The most dramatic change was the addition of the new Galaxy series, which included sedans, hardtops, and convertibles. The decisions in favor of conservatism paid off. 1959 marked the delivery of the 50 millionth Ford, and for the first time in this decade, Ford sold more cars than Chevrolet, moving into the #1 spot. The Mercury line was formed in 1939 to produce automobiles with greater prestige than the Ford. It had always been well received. In the 50s, the Mercury was something better than a Ford and less than a Lincoln. The 1950 Mercury was basically a modest facelift of the style introduced in 1949. It was very similar to its Lincoln cousin, but sold for less. More powerful than a Ford, it was powered by a 255.4 cubic inch L-head V8. It was available as a 2- or 4-door sedan, a 2-door wagon with wood trim, and a convertible. Also available was the Monterey, a dressed-up sporty coupe with special trim and a padded top. The 1951 Mercurys were only a scant facelift of the 1950 models. They had a semicircular crest and the name above the grille. They featured a different rear fender design and larger parking lights. Perhaps the best innovation for 1951 was the introduction of Merc-O-Matic Drive, an optional 2-speed automatic transmission.
When you spend your money for a 1952 car, you want exactly that, a 1952 car, not last year's model with a facelift job. Here's a complete front-to-rear view of the new Mercury, and there's not a 1951 line in its body. Even the gas filler cap is in a more convenient location. And here's the difference between riding comfort and cramming. This new Mercury rear seat, 6 inches wider. Like modern airliners, Mercury is equipped with suspended brake pedals for greater leverage and smoother, no-lurch stops. Now I'd like to show you what visibility means to your safety. Once, this was considered good vision, but not since the new Mercury hit the headlines. Here's how Mercury lets you see what's coming and where you're going. This is the actual size of the Mercury windshield. It's horizon wide. Rev up the most powerful V8 engine Mercury's ever had. The latest version of the engine that's famous for prize-winning economy. Visit your Mercury dealer. Ask for a demonstration. Inspect the great new 1952 Mercury and the 1952 Mercury Monterey. You'll see why Mercury is the most challenging car for 52.
In 1953, Mercury introduced 2 separate series. The Monterey was the top of the line, available as a sedan, hardtop, 8-passenger wagon, and convertible, while the lower-priced Custom was available only as a 2- or 4-door sedan or a hardtop. The Monterey sedans had luxurious broadcloth interiors, and the hardtops and convertibles had leather and vinyl. The bumpers sported bullet bumper guards, but otherwise most of the 52 styling was retained. New options included power brakes and a 4-way power seat. The 1954 Mercury had a new overhead V8 engine with 256 cubic inches and 161 horsepower at 4,400 RPM. A 4-barrel carburetor was standard. Styling changes included wraparound taillights and a different grille. The model lineup remained the same except for the addition of the Mercury Sun Valley. This car, with its plastic bubble top, was designed as a cross between a convertible and a hardtop. It was beautiful, but impractical. Even with a shade that could be drawn across it, the cars tended to stay too hot. This, combined with its higher price tag, accounts for its discontinuation in 1955. 1955 was an important year for Mercury. The line had all new styling, a new, more powerful engine, and was embraced by the public. Over 329,000 cars were sold. Montclair was the new top of the line, offered as a 4-door sedan, hardtop, convertible, and Sun Valley. The middle of the line was the Monterey, available as a sedan, hardtop, and wagon. The Custom Series was the low end of the line, available as a 2- or 4-door sedan, hardtop, and wagon. In 1956, the Mercury line stayed basically the same as in '55, but with the addition of new side chrome moldings and still a larger V8 engine.
To prove that Mercury leads its field in safety features, let's check some of the other safety-first design features built right into the Big M at no extra cost. Safety door locks, safety surge V8 engine, safety grip brakes, safety beam headlamps. In all, Mercury's safety-first design offers you more safety features than any other car in its class.
Because inflation was causing prices to go up, a new inexpensive line was added, the Medalist. The Big M line, as it was referred to in its advertising, sold fairly well, especially the popular 4-door hardtop called the Phaeton.
Green car.
Green car.
Green car. It's a
Green car.
Straight out of tomorrow. Dream car. Straight out of tomorrow. Dream car.
1957 brought on a major redesign of the Mercury line on a new 122-inch wheelbase. New body and bumper designs accented the horizontal lines of the cars, and some of the most outrageous options ever available could be had on the Mercury, like the Seat-O-Matic.
Mercury's power seat that actually remembers your favorite driving position. Now here's how it works. Just set this dial on the dash to your favorite driving position. No more fumbling under the seat. Turn the ignition on, and the seat moves to the setting just right for you. Turn the ignition off, and it glides all the way back. Makes it easier for you to get in and out.
But the star of 1957 was Mercury's dramatic expression of dream car design, the Turnpike Cruiser.
From the Big M, from Mercury for 1957, comes the Mercury Turnpike Cruiser, the most advanced automobile ever created for the American road. Flagship of the dream car fleet.
The Mercury Turnpike Cruiser, called the most daring, most dramatically different car ever designed. The car with new ideas, dream car features, all as standard equipment at no extra cost. Instead of breathing air from exhaust pipe level, fresh air enters these draft-free vents here.
The Turnpike Cruiser roof-level air intakes.
Gently passes through the car, then out.
The Turnpike Cruiser power-operated back window.
Press a button, the back window slides up and down.
The Turnpike Cruiser dual-curve windshield.
Curves around and up, tinted to filter out the sun's glare with much more viewing area. Lets you see overhead traffic lights without bending.
The monitor control panel.
Before you, the most complete panel of precision instruments ever designed. Even a new kind of steering wheel, a full vision steering wheel, plus a tachometer to measure your engine's exact RPMs, and a computer to determine quickly average speed at any point on your trip.
The Mercury Turnpike Cruiser.
A big car, a powerful car, a beautiful car. And a car with all these features as standard equipment at no extra cost.
But the cost of dream car design was too high, and many of the electrical options were unreliable. The Mercurys of 1957 didn't sell well.
It's a dream car.
Now, only seconds remain. Into position swings a symbol of a new age in advanced automotive styling and performance.
Stand by.
Closer. Closer. Closer.
1958 was not a kind year for any car in the middle-priced category. A recession cut back the market, affecting many makes, including Edsel and Mercury. And despite an attempt to make Mercury more affordable, sales overall were poor. The Turnpike Cruiser was moved into the Montclair line, and Park Lane was introduced as the new upper line Mercury, available in hardtops and convertibles.
Mercury for 1958, the only car to bring you
Sports car spirit with limousine ride.
More chrome accentuated what was basically a facelift to the 1957 models, and the multi-drive automatic transmission was available for the first time. In 1959, the Mercury line was simplified into Monterey, Montclair, Park Lane, and station wagons, with